Good morning. It's Thursday, April 11th, about 6 a.m. Central Time. Overnight, the precious metals are mixed after yesterday's volatile session. It was the impact of the hotter inflation data continued to send shockwaves through the markets as traders pared back the number of Fed interest rate cuts, and bond and currency traders also repositioned as well. The most likely scenario is going to be one cut in September and also one cut in December. If you go to the CME's Fed Watch tool, you can see that now it's only about a 16% chance that the Fed will make that interest rate cut in June. So the dollar index breached through that line in the sand that I had at the 105 level. It is now trading at the highest level since November 2023. The ECB will also make an interest rate here decision, but they're also going to push back here on that first interest rate cut. The likely scenario was that they would make their first cut in June. It was 100% priced in. Now that's only about an 80% chance on the swaps. So we're going to want to continue to digest the data. We'll also see numerous Fed officials come out and speak today. You'll have John Williams, Thomas Barkin, Susan Collins, and Raphael Bostic. They all will most likely reaffirm that scenario that inflation is just running too hot here at the moment. We'll have producer price index and also some jobs data on the docket. Now, the interesting thing about the CPI data was if you took out the rise in insurance costs in California and also Florida, that number would have come in lower than expected. So you can see that that number is being jockeyed around by different insurance companies here at the moment. Also, electricity prices heavily weighted as well. Now, getting into the precious metals, gold futures have made new all-time highs for 8 straight sessions. So the rising treasury yields, the rising dollar index have played little impact, but I do expect to see some kind of sell-off here in the metals, maybe just a repricing. Traders are slightly concerned about that higher dollar index and also the rollover in U.S. equities. If you look at U.S. equities, they really look like they're hanging on a cliff here at the moment. I outlined 2 levels for you yesterday. Both of those were hit on the top side and the downside, and it looks like a likely scenario where we do test that 50-day moving average on the S&P somewhere around this pocket support of 51.55 up to 51.70, and I think your likely resistance target has probably already been breached. 52.09 is going to be the resistance point here on the day, unless bear in mind that some kind of crash on this PPI data comes out or the jobs number comes in at a serious miss, but it's an unlikely scenario right now. Now, looking at some key levels of support in the gold market, I think we're comfortable trading right around 23.55 until we get more data here, or 23.50 most likely here. We've seen a dip to 23.43. We've seen a rise to 23.64, and it seems to gravitate around 23.50 at the moment. Your critical level of support below that's going to be 23.05, and then below that 22.55 and 21.70, my line in the sand. So there's 4 levels there if you're looking at adding on declines, but again, have your own risk management strategy in place. Consider protective puts, consider selling covered calls on that market as well. The silver market hovering around 28.08, really coming back after a big sell-off here yesterday. It just shows you that people are really after that particular metal, as reflected in the gold-silver ratio, which has dropped down to about 83-1. Remember, it was anchored between 92 and 80, about 5 or 6 on the downside, and that breach through there tells you that silver is starting to come alive. Now, crude oil futures off about 50 cents here today. We will have a USDA report, and some of the other markets are just mixed at the moment with U.S. equities sliding. I do expect to see a little less volume here today as we gear off for the Masters, so I'm reflecting the hat here at the moment, and we'll probably see a lot of people turning out of some of the financial commentary and into that. So if you got any questions, give me a call. I'd love to talk to you. 312-858-7303. Remember, futures option trading involves risk of loss, may not be suitable to all investors. Good luck, good trading.